Hello everyone, and welcome to my new Nightblade setup. It's been a long time coming since I haven't really put out a build video since I got onto PC, but here we are with the new setup. We've said goodbye to Bone Pirate, and it's time to move on. Let's see what we have going on here. So there's a couple of things that are going to remain. We are sticking with Bloodspawn. So we're running 2 medium Bloodspawn pieces, and we are running Clever Alchemist. We're only going to be running Clever Alchemist on the back bar. So I've got 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, and then the bow on the back bar to make 4 and 5. And for the front bar, we're going to be running Briarheart instead of New Moon. Since New Moon got a bit of a nerf in the damage department, the cost doesn't really seem to outweigh the disadvantage, or sorry, the advantages of the weapon damage and the spell damage seem to be outweighed by the cost nowadays. So we're going with Briarheart on the front bar with the maul. We've also got a Briarheart ring, 2 rings. I'm running 1 swift piece at the moment. We've also got the Briarheart boots. So we've got the boots, the 2 rings, and the maul on the front bar. So if you're keeping track, that's 5 Briarheart on the front bar. We've got 5 Clever Alchemist on the back bar. We're also running the Torque of Tonal Constancy. So this is going to be a big part of our sustain. What it does is it increases your stamina recovery by 450 when you're below 50% maximum magic. And it increases your magic recovery by 450 when you're below 50% stamina. So being that we're a stamina Nightblade and we do a fair amount of rolling and cloaking and shading, this definitely comes in handy to be able to balance out the two. Also, we are running 1 trainee piece as we've got an empty spot. Being that we have Clever Alchemist only on the back bar, and we've got Briarheart only on the front bar, and we're running a mythic. So we ended up having an empty spot, and I've gone and decided to go with the Belt of the Trainee, as it will grant us another 1454 maximum health just for having the single piece on. I did decide to go with mainly tri-stat glyphs, not all of them. I kept the max stamina on the Belt of the Trainee and the shoulders. But our health pool is looking rather nice. We're at 30k health currently, 29.5k stamina, and a little over 13k max magic. We're certainly not suffering the damage department. These are the stats on the back bar currently. And let's flip over to the front bar. Get a little buff in there. And as you can see, we're sitting at 2200 recovery. We've got 3400 weapon damage. That's not including our proc from Briarheart. That's also not including our weapon damage glyph that we are running on the front bar. And it's also not including the Clever Alchemist proc either. So defensively, we're looking just fine. We're over 3k in the crit resist department. Obviously our resistances are not going to be very high since we are a wood elf, but we just plan to not get hit very often by doing a whole lot of roll dodging. I don't know that we have Emperor in this campaign. It does not look like it. We are sticking with the Warrior Stone as well, and I've gone with Dubious in this particular situation because I am a vampire, so if I were to run Artaeum Takeaway Broth, I would take a hit to my health recovery, being that I get less health recovery for being a vampire, so running super expensive food doesn't really seem to be worth it in this instance. Not only that, but it just doesn't seem like it's really 100% necessary. But by all means, if you're not a vampire, you can go ahead and run Artaeum. Just keep in mind that your sneak speed without Darkstalker is actually quite slow, so keep that in mind. Let's see if I have any food here. For the sake of keeping that up. We're sticking with all the points into stamina. As again, we've got a very healthy max stam pool, or sorry, a healthy max stam pool, yes, but we've also got a very healthy maximum health pool. So we're doing okay in that department. Moving on to champion points here. Not too much has changed. I have gone with some points into Siphoner, just to be annoying. Warlord, 72 points into Warlord. 15 into Arcanist, a little bit of mag recovery, not really 100% necessary. You could be putting that elsewhere. Maybe into reducing the cost of Sprint. That would probably be the next best decision there. Because it's just really cheeky and annoying to have points in Siphoner anyways. I've decided to heavily invest into Tumbling. Roll dodging is extremely powerful. There's a lot of ways to mitigate damage, and you don't take any when you roll dodge, so it just makes a lot of sense here to invest in that. Also, being a Wood Elf, we benefit quite a bit from being able to roll dodge. A few points into reducing the cost of blocking. Just to round things out there, we will need to block and bash a little bit. This is where the main change seems to come in. We've added more points into Bless. Not a lot, but enough, as there was a bit of a nerf to healing. Nightblades did get a buff to their healing, but there was nowhere that it hurt to put these points in here. Sticking with the 120 points for the Tactician passive, for the being able to set people off balance when you roll dodge an attack, and that heavy attacks and light attacks are extremely strong. 39 into Physical Weapon Expert, 81 into Master at Arms, that gives us our 120 right on the dot. 56 into Mighty, 22 into Piercing, and 40 into Precise Strikes. Over here we got 72 into Ironclad, 49 into Resistant, as there was also changes made to Crit Resist to lower the values of impenetrable gear, so we have had to compensate a little bit there. 49, 49, and 28. And 23 into Crit Recovery, again to compensate for the changes made to healing. So, now that we've sorted through that, let's get onto the skills a little bit here. Leeching Strikes, very strong, very, very strong sustain, as well as a little bit of extra healing. And it's a siphoning attack, so it will, or a siphoning ability, which will increase our max magic 8% while a siphoning ability is slotted, and it just so happens that we've got Cloak on this bar as well. So, that extra magic will come in handy. Running Shadow Image. This is great for kiting. It's also a damage debuff. It applies minor maim to your targets. Very, very strong. There's a bit of a learning curve when you're beginning to use it, but once you get down the placement and how to really play with it, you can really have some fun with some people. Get them to chase you around and jump off of things. Definitely a very, very powerful skill. Vigor, no stam build goes anywhere without it, and they've made it easier than ever to get it. So definitely run Vigor. We're running Reaper's Mark. You could run the other morph that makes it so you can see other Nightblades when they go stealth. This one comes with the benefit of giving you a larger heal when the marked target dies. As well, you gain Major Berserk, increasing your damage done 25% for 5 seconds. You can really play this off well in places like Imperial City, where you can mark a random a random mob, and then quickly just burst them down and use that extra 25% damage on your actual, like the player target that you would like to go after. This is very, very strong. It's replacing Venom Arrow for us. So no more Master's Bow on this build either. So this is something you need to keep up at all times on your enemies. It's free, it's got an incredible range, and people know when it's on them. And Nightblades panic generally when it's on them, so very, very powerful ability though. And Shadowy Disguise. This is our invisibility, this is our cloak, this is our main escape ability. This in conjunction with Shadow Image, extremely powerful, extremely powerful. And we're running Temporal Guard. This is a bit of a sketchy ultimate sometimes, but when it works, it's a lifesaver. It rewinds you back in time to where you were 4 seconds ago. It gives you all the resources you had at the time at 4 seconds prior to you casting it. As well, it passively grants us minor protection So that extra 8% reduced damage taken on the back bar is very, very strong. Most solo small scale players will find a way to run this. It's almost essential. And on to the front bar. We're sticking with Camel Hunter, as Nightblade's also got an interesting adjustment buff, you can say, to surprise attack, where when you attack from the flank, it will stun and set off balance. So it really synergizes well with Camouflage Hunter, where when you attack someone from the flank, you get Minor Berserk for 5 seconds. It increases your damage done by 8%. As well, it also grants you the Major Savagery weapon critical buff. Very, very good skill to have. You can also use this to pull Nightblades out of stealth. But generally, it's a filler slot, so you don't really cast this very often, as it's not a cheap ability either. But it is very good, and it also grants you a little bit more weapon damage due to the Fighters Guild passives. Relentless Focus. This is an ability that, if you're a Nightblade, this is your bread and butter. This needs to stay up all the time. It will, again, it's been changed so that now it increases your critical damage done and healing done by 2%. So when it stacks up, that's an extra 10% healing done and an extra 10% critical damage. Nightblades deal a lot of critical damage. When you attack someone out of cloak, you deal critical damage. So again, this synergizes really, really well with that, and I don't know that the change they made was necessary, but here we are. Very, very powerful skill. If you could even forego an execute and then choose to use this as an execute if you wanted to be super fancy. Rally, burst heal, weapon damage buff, 10% stamina recovery. Slot it. Executioner. This is not 100%. It's necessary. You're going to want to use this to kill single targets. Your main spammable is going to be surprise attack, and then as soon as you get a chance to proc a Relentless Focus, you want to hit them with it, and then an Executioner, and that should finish them off. Very good single target ability. Hits like a truck. No reason not to use it. And surprise attack. Possibly one of the most overtuned abilities that's been changed in recent memory. The fact that when you hit someone from a flank, they are set off balance. It stuns them for 3 seconds. It's very easy to stun people on cooldown, basically, just by weaving this ability. And always be weaving as a Nightblade, because you always want to be proccing Relentless Focus as often as you possibly can. So, surprise attack, bread and butter. That's your spammable. Stupid damage. Yeah. And good old incapacitating strike. Hard-hitting ultimate, it's cheap. It can stun people if you wait until you have at least 120 ultimate. If you're running something like Balorg, then this can also come in very, very handy. Balorg is something I would certainly put on this build in a given situation. I don't happen to have 2 medium pieces at the moment, so we're sticking with Bloodspawn, which is certainly not a bad thing by any means. But incapacitating strike is going to be the ultimate of choice, especially since things have happened to Onslaught here, where it's not nearly as desirable as it once was, but it's still it's a fine ability. But in cap, I think just hits faster. It hits harder. It's a Nightblade ability. It also gives us more weapon crit for having it slotted, I believe. Being that it comes from the assassination tree, you get more weapon critical for having abilities slotted from the skill line. So that's pretty much what I've got going on here. We've covered the skills, we've covered the gear, we've covered the champion points. If anybody's interested in what it is that I've got on here, I'm wearing the Thieves Guild leathers with the black turban. I've got a Dromothra skin, the Sai Sahan greatsword, and the bow, I believe, is the Opal Troll King bow. So good luck snagging one of these during the upcoming Undaunted event. When it comes to potions, I've been running Essence of Immovability. Let's actually take a look at these here. I stick with the same potions most of the time. I'm running Tri-Stat potions as my main healing pot. I've got Essence of Immovability, which disable effects. Sorry, it makes me immune to knockbacks and disabling effects for 10.4 seconds. As well, it restores health and stamina to me. And then here's my Nightblade hunting pots. They grant me immunity to knockback and disabling effects for 10.5 seconds. As well, I gain stealth detection by 20 meters for 15.7 seconds. These are fantastic for fighting against Nightblades that are trying to hide from you, because there's a good chance they're going to try and CC you. And if they try, there's a good chance that they will, as there are many ways for a Nightblade to stop you, whether it be fear or draining shot, flame reach. If it's a mag Nightblade, you could just get surprise attacked from the rear kind of thing. But this will not. This will basically make it so they can't. They have one choice: to stop and fight, or just keep running. And if they're going to stop and fight, they're going to have to deal with the fact that they can't CC you for a little bit. So yeah, I think we've covered all the bases here. Sticking with Bloodspawn, we've got Clever Alchemist on the back bar, like I said. 1, 2, 3 pieces. And Briarheart with the boots. 2 pieces on the jewelry. And the maul on the front bar. We've gone with the Clever Alchemist bow. And we've got the Torque of Tonal Constancy. Get out there and start digging some holes. The mythics are a lot of fun. And that's all we've got for you tonight. You guys have a fantastic evening. And if you enjoy the build, be sure to come check out the live stream at twitch.tv/MightyMumble. Thanks for checking out the build. See you later. Bye.